welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live. I'm joined by Garth Lewis. How you doing, Garth?
Been better, mate. Been better. Wales got tonked by South Africa in the rugby. And then I don't really want to talk about Man United. This is about Wales rugby, yeah?
Say, straight away, deflection tactics. Well, it's not going to work on here because we're going to smoke that fox out, draw him out completely, and listen to what he has got to say. We're going to be talking about Mason Greenwood, seeing as that we can't ignore that story at the moment. Obviously, there's the situation that's been going on at Manchester United. This man behind Harry Maguire, the dramas and sagas with Caicedo and Lavia to Chelsea and Liverpool. We'll be discussing that. And, of course, on the title, player agendas. Some fans out here with agendas against players, which I just find absolutely ludicrous. Let's just have a little listen to one of the reasons why I put this in the title.
Top-notch striker, Osimhen, Mbappe, they didn't want to go Saudi. This is the Premier League. We're the biggest club in London, do you know what I mean? Possibly the biggest club in England. Like everywhere you go around the world, I think Liverpool are going to be better than us. I think we should have got Pau Torres. I think we should have got Moussa Diaby. Instead, we've got Timber, which has been decent so far. But come on, man, Havertz or Moussa Diaby.
He's not a striker. He's not in there as a striker, is he? I think.
I don't understand why we bought him. 65 million on him. I have an agenda against Havertz. I don't think Havertz is good enough for the Premiership. I think he's lazy.
He worked hard today, didn't he?
Working hard is not good enough.
See that? And this is what I mean about agendas. Fans don't even know what they're saying. They're waffling. They're waffling. And obviously, we're going to be talking about that because that one is specifically about Kai Havertz. We've seen it before earlier in the season. I spoke about it if you was listening on the Arsenal show about how people have already made their mind up about a player, even though the system and the team didn't fit. And obviously, Garth is in a similar situation with Mason Mount. And a lot of Manchester United fans already hating on Mason Mount, doing up the memes, basically making life for all these rival fans to a lot easier to gun down Man United. Good to see everyone in the comments here already. Russ, good to see you. And Akai are saying, what is this lineup? Well, I don't know. I know. What do you mean? What is this lineup for my show?
Oh yeah, you're not talking about me, mate.
Are you talking about? Oh, quickly. While we're here, actually, we might as well check out. Obviously, that is what he's talking about. He's not talking about us. So,
he comes back now. He's like, no, I am talking about you.
I got defensive there. I was like, what are you talking about? This is my show. What do you mean, what lineup? What is this lineup? I'll show you what this lineup is. Well, obviously, you're talking about Arsenal. We'll see.
It don't look that silly to me, that lineup. I'm not. All right. I don't see anything. Yeah, Tomiyasu at left back's a little weird. Does he play left back?
Bit of a malfunction. I'm going. Here we go. So we've got Ramsdale in goal for Arsenal. Thomas Partey, Ben White, Saliba, Tomiyasu, Rice, Havertz, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Nketiah. So it looks like a similar. Exactly the same. It is exactly the same as the lineup that went up against Nottingham Forest, which is quite surprising because Crystal Palace away is a totally different animal to what Nottingham Forest at home is. Something going on with Gabriel in defence. I don't know. I mean, we could read into it game by game, but I don't think so. I don't think it's got anything to do with Gabriel in defence. Be interesting to see how this game goes for Arsenal. What's your thoughts on that lineup quickly, Garth, before we move on to the main topics?
It's making me upset looking at my team, mate. That's what that is, because that's a solid team. Like I say, apart from Tomiyasu on the left, how's Partey done at right back? Is he all right? I haven't seen, but it sounds like he's done all right. He's done all right,
but it's like against tougher opposition, he may get found out. He may get found out.
Fair enough. But that's strong team, considering you're missing a couple of players as well, mate, ain't you? With your fullbacks there as well. So yeah, solid team. Palace are tough opposition though away from home. People take Palace too lightly, I think, these days because it's Palace. They're actually solid teams. Still see you winning though, mate. Still see you winning there. You know what I mean?
So make sure you follow us on the Arsenal show for the post-match reaction straight after the game. And you may even catch me a little bit at the end of the game doing a bit of a watch along. But let's get to the main topics of today. let's start off with the video that we just saw, Garth. But we're looking at it from your side. Mason Mount. As soon as Mason Mount signed, even before he signed, when there was links and rumours coming up, a lot of fans, it was a fair few fans, made a lot of noise, and ahhing. Is he the right signing? Is he any good? And now that he's joined it, it's not really changed much, has it?
No. Can I just quickly say as well, this is what football fans do. The end of that video, where he's like, he's lazy. And then Robbie's like, well, he put a lot of effort in today. Effort means nothing. Mate, you've just put it you've just said it as a bad point that he's lazy. Now you've been corrected. He's like, no, well, I actually don't mean nothing. That's not the point I was trying to make. And then move on. Ridiculous. It's what happens all the time with Mason Mount. Personally, for me, I think he's going to come very good. I think he's a perfect signing for Man United. I think it can work very well once it's all settled. But the vitriol online about it, and it's always like with that fella there, they're talking about someone else. Oh, we just spent 55 million on Mason Mount. We could have got X. We could have got X, And it's like, mate, like, there's more things that go into transfers than just fees. There's desires from players, there's packages, there's wages, there's geographical decisions to make as well. Manchester's still Manchester, mate. You know what I mean? If you're living in Madrid, Jude Bellingham is a great example. We don't get to say about Jude Bellingham. 88 mil, and we've just spent 60 on Mount. Mate, he's going Madrid. He's going Real Madrid. Like, we aren't in that conversation. Even at our peak, if Real Madrid come knocking, look at our team. Beckham. I know we sort of forced him out, but he still went. You know what I mean? Ronaldo. We couldn't stop Real Madrid taking Ronaldo in 2009. So it's madness to me that football fans don't give players a chance anymore. And what's worse with that is they are waiting for them to fail. And I don't understand that mentality. That's the bit I don't understand here. It's the desire for them to fail. So that one individual on Twitter can be proved right in his statement that Mason Mount's a waste of money, instead of let's hope he does well. It's mental, bruv.
What is it you think that people don't like about Mason Mount?
He's not Mbappe. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not a name like that. He's a very, if you're old enough to remember Ruud Gullit, he's a very unsexy footballer. You know what I mean? Like, he does his job, he gets on with it, but you can't pinpoint what it is that he's the best in the world at. And because we're Man United and we've got a load of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Spoiled fans from the last couple of decades of dominance. They think that we're still the best team in the world and we should be able to command any player. And that's where I think it lands, is that Mason Mount isn't a world superstar. Why are we signing these players? I heard someone say, we signed Casemiro last year, and now we're signing Mason Mount. It's like, it's weird to me, mate, because as soon as a player joins my club, I'm 100% behind them no matter what. Usually, you know what I mean? If it ain't some nutter that turns up or so. But yeah, 100% behind them, as everyone should be. And you don't do the research, because that fed on the ATV. Oh, we've got Timber. Mate, Timber is going to be, I know he's out now, he's going to be magnificent. He's a Premier League player built, and like, he is so good. And you're acting like you got dealt a bad hand by saying.
And who was the player that he said that he wanted to sign instead of Timber? Pau Torres.
Yeah, Pau Torres. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, Pau Torres is a decent enough player, but is he what Arsenal need? Is he a Timber? No. Arsenal needed a versatile player. Pau Torres is a centre back. That's the position you're going to get out of him. You get Timber in. He plays centre back, right back, left back. Defensive midfield if you have to.
Yeah.
Like, and he's cool on the ball, good movement. He gets up and down the pitch. He's a progressive player. He's exactly what Arsenal need. And that's the thing that fans aren't getting. These managers want to get in players that suit their system, that fit their needs, not players that you like the look of that was playing decent for another team, because it might not work for your team. And that's what they're not understanding. Pau Torres, Moussa Dembele. Well, there must have been a reason why Arsenal didn't go for Moussa Dembele, because there was definitely rumours about Moussa Dembele. There must be reasons why United didn't go for him, or the other big four teams or big six teams didn't go for him. Why? I personally, I don't know. It could have been his defensive side of play, but there's a reason why no one in the top six went for Moussa Dembele. No one in the top six went for Pau Torres.
Yeah, that's always been, as I said to you yesterday, it's always been my thing with Pau Torres. He's been available for 4 years. Like, no question. If you put 45 on the table, he's yours. Straight away, no questions asked, for 4 years. And no one has gone near him. None of the big Premier League teams, none of the big Spanish teams. Real Madrid and Barcelona, if he's doing so well for Villarreal, they snap him up immediately. You know what I mean? Like, so, and fans these days, because I think with the influx of all the data we can get hold of and all the stats and figures, they don't actually just deep dive into the player himself. Someone like Mr. Diaby, like you're saying, there may be other things attached to it as well. You know, I mean, there may be, like I said to you, geographical. He doesn't want to come here. He doesn't. I'm not saying he doesn't want to come to Arsenal, but the location. You know what I mean? Like the house isn't good enough that I want. I just don't like it. You know what I mean? There's so many different. It ain't just the managers. The players sometimes may turn around and say, you know what, mate, I don't like the project. You know what I mean? I don't like the where I am in my career right now. I don't need to be fighting for a place in the team. I need to be first choice. I need to be guaranteed first team football. And Arsenal can't offer Pau Torres first team football guaranteed when you've got Ben White, Saliba, who I think is the best defender in the league, and Gabriel there. So yeah, it's mental, mate. It's everyone thinks that they know best, and no one seems to trust their managers anymore. I mean, I'm already seeing Ten Hag out stuff. Obviously, you had it for 2 years with Arteta. You know what I mean? Won an FA Cup in his first season. Given no time, though. No time whatsoever. It's mad, bruv. It's mad.
Yeah. Quickly, we're going to the Russ makes his point here. He says, Mount has been decent for Chelsea. Havertz, on the other hand, has had glimpses in 3 years at Chelsea. And it's probably why that fan there himself has his concerns. But my point is, once he's joined your club, surely you've just got to give him time to see how he settles in, how he settles in a new system. We all know that it wasn't working at Chelsea. We all know that Chelsea was not a good place for the past few years. Thomas Tuchel got Havertz ticking for a season. Maybe not on the levels that everyone was expecting before when he signed Chelsea, but he was definitely ticking. There was definitely progression on that first season. And then after that, Graham Potter comes in, gets the sack. Frank Lampard comes in till the end of the season. So he's back to square one with the manager that brought him in the first place. It didn't work in that first season. But no one wants to talk about that. No, everyone wants to completely ignore that. Oh, no, he's had 3 years to do something. He hasn't done anything. Well, that's not the truth. You've seen glimpses, as Russ said there. You've seen glimpses. So there is a player in him. And if you can get a player out of Granit Xhaka, you can most definitely get something out of Kai Havertz in my eyes.
Plus, I want to add this about Chelsea as well. They have a horrific record of strikers doing well at their forwards, doing well at their club. You can go back since Abramovich took over and look at every one of them that's failed. Crespo did all right, but Shevchenko, massive failure. Torres, massive failure. You know what I mean? Lukaku, massive failure. Like, they have a habit of strikers not working for them. Havertz isn't an out-and-out striker either. I need to put that out there. You've got Jesus and Nketiah as your main strikers. He is where he's playing today. You're playing what Man United play against Spurs. You're playing Rice as the DM, and you're having two AMs basically going forward. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I like Havertz. I think he's a good player. And that's exactly what you said. You've got to give him time for a manager to mould him into the player that he wants him to be. Because I think Kai Havertz is a very malleable player that you can basically make into anything you want in that AM position. You know what I mean? You can have him as a deep line one, a second striker, one that pops out wide like Bruno. You know what I mean? He's a great, technically great player. But you're right, we haven't seen enough of him yet. But again, Chelsea, as you said, have been in turmoil for a couple of years. So you know, like, you can't put it all in. Timo Werner didn't do anything. You know, you just keep going down the line with him. So.
Yeah, it just felt like Chelsea for a few years now have just been buying players because there's an opportunity, they're available.
Yeah.
And then trying to put them into their team. And like it even felt like when they bought Havertz, they bought him because he was the big name at the time, and there was an opportunity to bring him in. It wasn't because they needed him; it was just an opportunity. And then they've had to sort of crowbar him into position, and his best position in that team for them has been as a striker, which he's not. I don't think he's played much as a number 10, but yeah, we will see. From what I've seen so far of Havertz, I like the look of him. I like his defensive style of play, and we've got to start looking at him as a midfielder now, not as a centre forward. So don't start looking at games and being, oh, no goals, no assists, because that's not his role. And the other day, him taking up those positions up on the left, it gave Martinelli a lot more freedom to roam forward, which he hasn't had in a long while, where Zinchenko's been playing as an inverted fullback, so he hasn't had anyone get beyond him, no one to stretch the play. So having Kai Havertz there and use his brain and just stretch the play by drawing out a defender, it leaves spaces. Those are the things you need to look at now in Kai Havertz's game. And I think you'll appreciate him a lot more as a player.
I think it just comes down to what you said already. You've just got to give new players in your team time. I don't understand, just because he isn't the player you wanted signed, to out and out say, I've now got an agenda against that player. What sort of fan are you, mate? Because that means you've got an agenda against your gaffer, you've got an agenda against your team. You're wanting him to fail, which basically, if you really followed that thought down to its logical conclusion, you want your team to fail. You want your gaffer to fail. You don't want to win. Because if he fails, your team fails. If your team fails, your gaffer. Do you see where I'm coming from with this? You know what I mean? Like, it's a really bad place logically to be coming from, saying that you have an agenda against your player. It's a weird statement.
I don't know whether it's people saying it so that they're separating themselves from the decisions that's been made by the club. Because we used to have it back in the past when it was really toxic down at Arsenal, and we started to get onto the my manager and my captain and my forward. That's not my player. That's not my forward. And we're getting into that. And could it be people sort of just trying to distance themselves from a decision that their club has made where, my club's doing well, but I wouldn't have made that decision. I wouldn't have brought him in. I don't know why I did that. So they can always, when people are going backwards and forwards with them, they can always say, no, it's never been something that I agree with.
Yeah, it's a fair shout, but that also, for me, proves why none of these people would be good football managers, because a good leader has to stand by decisions, you know what I mean? So you can't just be like, oh, no, well, I don't like it, so I got no idea. But yeah, it's a fair point. But I think it's more, this is what I mean, I think it's more these days with social media, you're putting out a hot statement and hoping it's right so that you get more followers, more clicks, mate. I mean, there may be a very cynical viewpoint, but I see it too much with football fans now. Make a ludicrous statement and then just sit back and watch all of the people rage at you. You know what I mean? Like, so I see a lot of that and a little bit of what you're saying as well, definitely.
Yeah, no, I agree. That is speaking to someone last night. A lot of what you're seeing at the moment is just people doing hot takes.
Yeah.
Like, it's what's going to get the most numbers. I'm going to say this, let it roll out, and then see that good, bad, ugly, it don't matter as long as it's getting views.
Yeah.
And then eventually people will forget and we move on.
Or you just say, remember, I was just joking. It was banter. Can't take banter, mate.
I can't have a change of opinions.
Yeah.
Guess you can. Guess you can.
Yeah, you can once we've had an argument for 6 months where you were adamant you were right, mate, and now all of a sudden, no.
Yeah, I know. Also on the agenda, Garth, I know you've had a lot of problems with Man United's start. Casemiro looking a little bit jaded, should we say? Not being able to get Harry Maguire for the books. This is your therapy session. Unleash. It's time to talk to us about the state of affairs of Manchester United.
I started Harry Maguire first, which I have a little bit of begrudging respect for him, where he's turning around like, nah, mate. Like, you want me gone, you pay me my money, and you find me a club that I'm willing to go to. Otherwise, I'm staying here. 90% of me is hating that fact, but I can't hold it against him. You know what I mean? You know, like, West Ham is West Ham. If they're not offering him the money, then why would he go? Should he go? Yes, Keir. That's a different question for me. That should he go? 100%. I can't see why, as a professional sportsman, he'd want to stay where he's not wanted and not welcome, apart from the money situation. And that then becomes a little bit to me like, mate, like, you've earned so much. Your England career's on the line. You're going to go down as, do you really want to be remembered as Phil Jones, Winston Bogart, like just sitting on the bench earning 200 grand? Madness. But Man United, this is Man United's problem. We gave players silly wages for too long. Sancho, I heard rumours that Chelsea are looking at Sancho, and I was like, you do remember he's on 375 grand a week. Like, who's paying that for Sancho? Yeah, he's on 375, mate. He's the fourth highest paid player in the league, and that's when we signed him. All of the add-ons and bonuses, he's probably near 400 grand now, mate. Because this is what happened to Harry Maguire. We signed him on 190. And then because we got in the Champions League and stuff, he's now up to 210. He's on 210. David De Gea was on 375. You know what I mean? I think like the Varanes and all that of this world on 190s, 200s. Like, it's ridiculous our player wage bill, mate. So we can't shift no one. Our like board level is a disgrace, to be quite honest with you. For the last 10 years, you look at the players we've signed and the lack of direction, never sticking to an ideal. Sorry.
Speaking of signings, so Did you have a little bit more optimism at the start of the window?
But I had a little bit more optimism after we signed Onana and Mount. I was like, do you know what? I don't like Onana as a goalkeeper per se. I think he's going to be a little bit erratic. I've got Bartes vibes off him. That's what I keep saying a lot. Bartes was a great goalkeeper, but you know you're losing 4 games a season because of him. Like you know. But he played well. He looks good, and his ball playing is quality. There's no two ways about that. His passing ability is sick. Mount, I thought was a great signing. And yeah, first game we didn't deserve to win at all. Not just the penalty. Wolves should have put us to bed early and make that second half against Spurs. We'll get into it probably in a minute. Ouch. That has left me shaken, mate. That has, because last season, this is what a lot of Man United fans are saying now, we lost our first 2 games. But yeah, we had excuses. Harry Maguire's in the team and he ain't doing well. Like Ten Hag's just turned up. He hasn't got the right system set up yet. He hasn't got his players in. Well, mate, we're what, £400 million down the line, or whatever it is, 500 mil down the line. You can't tell me he hasn't got his players in. You know what I mean? He's definitely got his players in. There's no Harry Maguire to blame. So why are we so awful? You know, like, it ain't the same for me. The game against Spurs, sorry, did I have more? Yes, I had a lot more hope at the start of the season, especially after the last season. I thought the progress we made was excellent. I really think that a lot of people didn't realise that in the end, we were really, like, we gave in a strong performance at home. Like, if we'd actually got our away form sorted out, you know, what did we finish off? 9 points, you know what I mean? Which is only 3 wins at the end of the day. We got 1 point, though. This is what I didn't realise. Did you see this stat? We got 1 point away from home last season against the other teams in the top 10. Top 10. So obviously the 9 teams in the top 10 plus us, of the 9 teams in the top 10, we got a single point away from home.
That's
I didn't realise.
good enough.
That is horrific. So I didn't know that stat. It came up on the Spurs game. So before I saw that stat as well, yeah, and then it made me think, yeah, we were horrific away. Seville 3-0. You know what I mean? Like Man City 6-3, Liverpool 7-0. Like we were horrific. And yeah, this first half against Spurs, I didn't agree with anyone. Everyone was like, "We got a lot
of missed chances, though."
Yeah, but so did Spurs also. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was. This is what I mean. Like Man United, like Roy Keane was like, "Oh yeah, they're for the taking." I'm like, "What game are you watching?" I thought we were going to lose after the first half. The second half, mate, it's one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time from Man United.
Oh really?
Honestly, mate, the desire. I mean, passion's the same word, but passion. The drive, the will to win the ball in the middle of the park, the legs, like it really feels. And I mean, Nathan has outright told me that it's not possible that they're unfit. Like, it can't be. They must be fit because it's pre-season. The gaffer wouldn't be picking them. But they looked sluggish and slow, man. Like sluggish and slow. Luke Shaw's obviously had a good summer. You know,
are there any players that came back late? Would have come back late from pre-season because they was on international duty straight after the season?
No, I think we had them all. I think we had them all, bruv, to be quite honest with you. I could be very wrong there, but maybe even if they did, why are they getting played? And this is a different question to it. If they're not fit, they shouldn't. Like football clubs these days, you know, as I do, they have so many scientists and nutritionists and data and everything that can prove how fit a player is. So, wow, 15 mil for Che Adams, fair enough. That's surprising. But yeah, second half, mate, like it's back to the old days of Man United. Just no desire. That's what it comes down to. It doesn't feel like there's any desire on the pitch. Rashford can't play up front. As soon as he's put in a central role, he can't put his back against the defender and take the ball. So he sort of just gives up. You know, I mean, there's one way to put it, but do you know where I'm like, not give up, but starts not running for that ball. Starts like, do you know what? I haven't had a touch it. Not give it to me. Turns around, but now the ball's in the box. You know what I mean? And then Anthony, turning into one of the biggest flops of the Premier League era. He really is. Like, no end product. Mate, no end product, no right foot. Left foot is all right. Like,
just dribble.
It's all right. Can he even dribble? Because he don't take a man on. Never takes a man on.
Take a man on.
Never takes a man on.
I thought that's his game.
That's what I thought when we signed him. Never gets to the byline. Nothing, bruv. Like, when I say take a man on, we're talking about the same thing. Like, hit it and dribble past him, you know what I mean? Or dribble past him,
Drop a skill, take you on. One-on-one.
Rarely, bruv. Like, I mean, so rarely. Like, honestly, never happens, bruv. He cuts inside so he can get on his left peg. He is so left-footed, it's a disgrace. So he can't dribble with his right foot. So when he's got on his left foot playing down the right flank, a defender's just got to get a toe on it. He can't shield the ball with his other foot, can he? You know what I mean? If he's right footed, he gets his left leg in front so that he can keep going. Yeah, awful, bruv. So he needs to up his game big time. Sancho, I don't think he can survive in the Premier League. I don't think his skills do it. You know what I mean? Garnacho, we're now putting all our hopes on this young kid, and he had a bad performance, and everyone's like, "Bah!" It's like he's a 19-year-old kid. He's had a bad performance. I can only be
Are you going around in a vicious circle as well? Pinning your hopes on a young kid, rises of Adyan Januzaj, looks really promising. Everyone puts his hopes in him, looks good. Too much pressure, gives him all the money in the world because in the end, after he might have a good season and you're like a bit of pressure to give him a bigger contract, then we're in the same boat again.
I mean, I've just got to throw it out there. He's definitely better than Januzaj. I know the other where you're coming from. I just want to note it. He's definitely. No, I think it's more. Yes, some of that as well. I do think it's more. He had a couple of good performances last season, but coming off the bench, it's a big difference to playing starting a match. This is what I was saying about Garnacho. Garnacho, the pressure for a start, but not just that. When he comes on at 70 minutes, that right back is like, oh, bro, I've been dealing with Rashford for 70 minutes. Like what's going on here? So he's got like that defender's a little tired, mentally fatigued. He doesn't get the shouldering on time. So there's that. Our midfield isn't working yet. I'll give it time. But at one point, like the way Man United playing like what your team's doing today, with the three midfielders like that, with a defensive midfielder and the two attacking midfielders, when we lose the ball, they're meant to drop into a flat free across the middle. Man United were like that. Straight line. Literally at one point, Sky Sports brought it up. You had Mount, Bruno and Casemiro in a straight line, all within 5 meters of each other. Don't know their roles yet. So that's up in the air. Oh, yeah. Varane, looking like he might have lost another bit of pace. Casemiro.
So, let's go on to the Casemiro. Casemiro, Jamie Carragher made his point at the start of last season that Man United would never get value for money out of Casemiro. And I think he backtracked on that by the end of the season because he said that Casemiro had been absolutely amazing for Man United and he's surprised at how well he fitted in so quickly. But you pointed out that he's either a little bit unfit and off the pace of the season, or the most worrying thing is that he could potentially have lost that bit of pace. And if so, you've got a gaping hole in that middle again. Yeah,
you have to change the formation if he has. I think I did remember this yesterday as well. We did when we signed him last year. We did actually have to ease him in because he was unfit. And the pictures going around of him turning up for pre-season definitely looked like he had a good time, like a good time in the summer holidays. You know what I mean? So at this precise moment, I'm putting it down to not match fit. That's where I'm going because it's hot. Please be just not match fit, please. Because if he has lost, because he weren't fast.
Always worst case scenario.
Yeah, if he's lost that yard of pace, kid, then he's done as the single pivot, as we call it now. Yeah. He's done. Can't have it. Like literally can't be done. There's no way that he can survive in the Premier League as a single defensive midfielder if he's lost yet another yard of pace. But fully off the pace. Defensively, I might say there against Spurs. Attacking wise, still gets his head on balls from corners and stuff somehow. Always like great passing ability, obviously. Like that's not going to leave him. But if he has lost that bit of pace, then we're in serious trouble. Same with Varane. Exactly the same with Varane. So, and Shaw as well. Shaw looked like he had a great time. This is what I mean. It comes. I reckon we're unfit, bruv. I really do. Is what I'm hoping anyway.
I mean, the players that you're talking about haven't got a very good track record. Shaw,
exactly.
Sancho, Casemiro. They're footballers that when Harry Maguire, they're footballers that when they retire, they will be fat. Yeah, there's no two ways about it.
Nine fat.
They will be R9. They will be enjoying life. So that's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, I'm not going to get too hysterical about our chances. It's 2 games. We've actually got 3 points on the board. You know what I mean? So it's 1 win, 1 loss. But the performances need to go up 6 levels and quick sharp. Like that's how bad it is. We're not talking about we're stuck in 3rd gear. We're stuck in neutral, mate, at the moment. Like the way we performed against Spurs.
And currently, with some people already calling for the manager's head, or saying that they've had enough, or getting the receipts out of when they said that they've never rated him. What's that one going? What's happening there?
I mean, you know this from Arteta with the Arteta out crowd, brother. It's what we were talking about earlier. It's hot takes. People want to be first to say that I said this. I told you we weren't good enough. I said from day one, Ten Hag weren't good enough. Ten Hag gave us a great season last year, in my opinion. A trophy. Go on, pronounce that one, bruv. Pronounce that name, mate. I thought he gave us a good season last year. Trophy, brought some good players in. Most importantly, got rid of some dead wood. You know what I mean? Most importantly, I mean, like, don't you dare be looking up how to pronounce that. I can see you typing away.
Of course I am.
Gave us some
How
good
dare
times.
you draw me out there? How dare you draw me out?
Gave us some good times. Went to Wembley, won a cup. Went to Wembley, lost a cup, 2 cup finals, 3rd place. Arsenal and Man City were by far the best teams in the league by a long way last season, and we're behind you two. So this Ten Hag out nonsense is anyone saying Ten Hag out at this moment, your ball knowledge is whack. Because who's out there? Who you bringing in? Who's replacing Ten Hag? We've had Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, we've had Solskjaer. They didn't work. We had the next best thing, David Moyes. That didn't work. And now we're on Eric Ten Hag. There's no one left. You're not getting an Ancelotti because he wants 300 mil a year. You're not getting a Conte or a Mourinho. Yeah. Anyone who's saying Ten Hag out, I'm sorry. You're not a true fan of the club. That's one way to put it. Your priorities are wrong. That's the way to put it. If you're saying Ten Hag out now, 2 games in after a good season last season, your priorities are wrong. That's where I'd put that at.
Manchester United are chasing a deal to sign Benfica goalkeeper Odias Valkodimos.
That's good work, mate. That's good work. That is, bruv. I like it.
And on that note, what else do Man United need to bring in before the transfer window shuts?
Well, we've got the goalkeeper now, so probably only a couple: right back, centre back, left back, backup defensive midfielder, maybe another centre midfielder, some wingers that can actually play well in the league, and maybe another striker to back up Højlund. So
not much then.
Not much. 8 players, bruv. 8 players. You know.
and your thoughts on Rasmus Højlund, the youngster? It's going to be a lot of pressure on him straight away, isn't it?
Big pressure. This is why I said big pressure. And seriously, though, I think we need backup for Casemiro. We need another. Well, we don't if Maguire stays. If Maguire goes, another centre back and probably a backup fullback as well. So yeah, Højlund. I know very little about him, kids. I won't lie. From what I've not watched 90 minutes of him really. For the highlights I've seen, pacey, strong. You get flavors of Haaland, and I don't mean he's like Haaland. I mean flavors of it. You know what I mean? You can see bits of his game are similar. I think he's actually got more on the ball technical ability, like the most of those big man strikers that you see.
People are just comparing him because his name starts with a H.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and O's.
Yeah, and he's from the same.
Scandinavian.
They're both Danish, ain't they?
Norwegian,
sorry.
Norwegian.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so they're both scared. Yeah, they're both from the same ends, basically, all that. No, that's what I mean. He ain't like Højlund. I keep seeing people compare it. You just get the flavours. He's quite fast, again, for a big man. He can muscle, you know what I mean? He's 6'3", but he's a prospect. There's, like, all of that said, bottom line is he's a prospect. We're buying him on a gamble, on a hope that he becomes a quality striker. I don't see him scoring more than 15 this season. And that's a good tally.
And where does that put you in the league or in any cups if he only gets 15 goals?
It all depends on Rashford and our other players. It really does. Like, if we're talking Rashford gets 30 again this year, Højlund gets 15, and Anthony improves, gets double figures, or Sancho improves and gets double figures, I think we see about the same season. Cup final, maybe 2 cup finals, and then 3rd place, 4th place in the league. But that's, I think, personally, Keir, I think that's the best we can hope for at the moment. With everyone else taking a step this season, I agree with Travis here. Exactly. It isn't enough, just Højlund. We do need more. Even though I said that I wouldn't look at that. Like, I think what I'm saying there is you've got to just take Martial for another season and just hope he doesn't get broken again. But we do need, because we've only got, when you really think about it, Højlund and Martial, ain't they? As actually out and out strikers in the club, like first team strikers. Rashford can't play there. So, yeah. But yeah, if our best season this season, unless a miracle happens, is 3rd, 4th place for us and a cup final is where I'm settling. But I've actually got a bad feeling that we're going to finish outside the Champions League. Not because I think we'll do the same. This is why I put Arsenal in 3rd, but I've changed that now because I think Arsenal will do the same as they did last year. I think you get the same sort of points. I think we'll go further in the cups. So it comes down to whether Man City falter, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I put Chelsea and Liverpool at the start of the season in the top 4, didn't I? But both of them ain't looking too.
They're gonna, I've said that Liverpool could go on a nice run, but I don't think they could sustain anything throughout the whole season with that no midfield. They've got no.
Especially now McAllister's getting the case of 3-game ban as well now.
3-game ban. Is it not been rescinded or dropped down to a yellow yet or anything?
Oh, is that happening? Is it? I didn't know. I haven't seen it.
It doesn't look like a red to me. It don't
right,
look like
fair
a
enough.
red.
Fair enough. I just saw it was a straight red.
It's a side foot. It was harsh. I think it will get dropped to a yellow, and we'll probably see him back in. But still, even then, if he gets injured, you've got no midfielder again. So you're back to square one. And he's not a defensive midfielder. He's not a central midfielder. He's an 8, but he's a more attacking 8. He's not a Wijnaldum, basically.
No, he's an AM left centre. That's how I've always seen him. That's what I've always said about him. You know what I mean? That sort of player. So, and just quickly, Liverpool fans as well, you ain't said a word about Curtis Jones in 8 years. So don't start coming at me now like he's this quality centre midfielder that's going to take you places. He's a quality squad player. That's what he is. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what he is. Like, let's not start acting like he's the replacement for Wijnaldum or he's the replacement for Jordan Henderson. He's a quality squad player. He's a McTominay level player. That's what he is. So let's keep that silliness out of the question. But third, fourth for Man United, best I think this season, unless something special happens or we get one of those magic runs to the Champions League final. You know what I mean? We're playing not even Leipzig. What's the other Red Bull team? The Austrian one, like in the semi-finals. You know what I mean? So tough time coming ahead.
Russ said United are the same position as Arsenal in 2 years ago. Players they can't shift, fan turning on the manager. It's a bit like that. They need to. I think if they can sort the things out on the pitch, get rid of some of the deadwood, it kind of resets things because there's none of that split arguments. Oh no, actually you can play. Oh no, actually I like him. There's just clean slate, start again, and be patient.
No, I agree. I think I said that to yourself, didn't I? Exactly what Russ is saying there. That it does feel like we're you from 2 years ago. Split fan base. Oh, he ain't my manager. He ain't my captain. Bruno, that's the upper one that splits Man United fans down the middle. There's so many Man United fans that don't like Bruno Fernandes, and I've got no idea why. Top in chances created in Europe, you know what I mean, pretty much. Top in the Premier League. Scored 100, goals and assists is over 100 since he turned up at Man United. It's crazy that we're acting like he is like bad for our team. Like, it's nonsense. So there's another one from what we were talking about earlier. So, but yeah, exactly the same position you were in. And we need, the difference is our owners will not take a hit for any pound note. Whereas who did you pay off? Was it Aubameyang you paid off to get
Ozil, Aubameyang, Kolasinac, Mustafi. The list goes on, mate.
Because this is what we should have. Yeah, this is what we should have done with Harry Maguire immediately. As soon as West Ham came in with 30 mil, we should have been like, right, 30 mil, we'll give him 10. So that he can just go, because it's 20 mil he's going to earn over the next 2 years at Man United. 20 mil.
Well, the easiest ones would have been like Phil Jones a couple of seasons ago. Those sorts of ones. Start off with those ones. Get them off the books. Then your Harry Maguires. Sell him for 20 mil instead of 30 mil. And then West Ham have got that extra 10 mil to spend on his
wages that way. Exactly,
you know
all that way, yeah. Either or. However you want to do it.
Holding out, and like you said, they're now going to have to pay the 20 mil extra to keep him there for the seasons, and you're not going to get any money for him when he finally does leave. There's no logic. There's no logic.
It's just it doesn't affect the Glazers' dividends if we let him go for a free. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. Because obviously, if we get 20 mil for him, it's going straight back into transfers. So they see none of that either. And I'm a Glazers out man, but I'm not like ardent on everything they do, like watching every move they make sort of thing. But yeah, you can tell that is what it is. They don't want to take a hit.
Where do you think the problems lie though? Because as we've seen, they are spending money. It's just not necessarily in the right places. But is there not someone who should be in charge of that? Or where is it going wrong? Because when from the outside of you and people are looking at the amount of money that Man United spend, they're saying, you've had money to spend. You're buying the players, but you're buying the wrong players. That's surely not the Glazers' fault.
No. First and foremost, James made this apparent to me, which I never really realised. They spend our money. The Glazers don't spend their money. The money that Man United spend comes from our revenue. There's no like Abramovich putting money into this club for transfers. It's our money, which is why we're in the position we're in with the FFP at the moment, because we're spending so much of our own revenue on players that it's now come to a point where it's like you need to sell to. But it's bogged down, mate. Bogged down. You've got the board that are incompetent and incapable. The owners who are incapable of running the club properly. The board are incompetent. The directors of football that we had who have signed basically mega stars to try and put a plaster over the gaping wound that is Man United now. You know, you go for it, the Di Marias, the this, the that, the blah, blah, blahs, spending big money on players that don't work, and then all the way down to the managers who are buying these players that don't work. I mean, I'm not, as I said, I've got a big problem with people saying Ten Hag out, but he has got a question to answer over Anthony. When we had, and if you remember, I said this 2 years ago.
Yeah,
we've got Sancho, we've got Palestri, we've got Ahmed. You know, I mean, like, why are we buying another right winger? Sancho had only had 1 year then as well. Like, it wasn't like we're where we are now, where we know it isn't working. Anthony, 90 mil. Like, you don't understand. He's creator in chief at Ajax. He's going to bring 20 assists to us. He got 4. The man got 4 or whatever it was. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So, yeah, it's bogged down, mate. Yeah, owners down. Everyone's done bad for us. You know what I mean? Everyone. Us wanting Harry Maguire so badly. You know what I mean? Like, who scouted him and said, yeah, no, he can play in the system you're talking about? Who scouted him? And like, but I don't think no one did scout him.
And it's a smart long-term investment as well. £70 million. Where does he go? Where does he go after that? Are you going to get money back on that?
No.
Like, and that's what they're not thinking about there. There was a lot of money just pumped out.
Yeah.
Without really thinking about where's the longevity in it.
Was Cristiano Ronaldo a footballing decision to bring him back? Of course it wasn't.
No.
Don't get me wrong. I was super hyped to see him come back. You know, I mean, I bought the program. I didn't go to the match, but I've got a program of it and everything because I was hyped that he was back. But when you really think about it, bad decision. We paid 14 mil for him and gave him 550 grand a week. Like, you just Alexis Sanchez, 500 whatever it was grand a week. You know, it's bogged down, man. Like, it feels like we've got no negotiators when it comes to wages.
Yeah,
it feels like Man United, because we earn so much money because we're Man United, which is like, yeah, who cares? And they're doing the thing. Like, if anyone out there plays Football Manager, it happens a lot. You buy a load of players. You don't think about the wages, and then all of a sudden you go and buy a player and you're on minus 200 million. You're like, how? And you've been losing 24 mil a month on wages, mate. That's how.
You bring youth players, prospects. You're like, what is going on? Why can I not offer him more than £2,000 a week?
Yeah, the board starts selling your players without you even knowing. You're like, what? Yeah. So we're at that stage, mate. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's a poorly run club. I mean, I can't forever care. We've got obviously the state of the stadium, the state of the training facilities, the state of. Apparently, Ronaldo was saying, look, like the one that always stick with me about Sancho, and this was Sancho and Greenwood, funny enough, which I presume might be a nice segue for you. Apparently, Ronaldo walked into training one day, and Sancho and Greenwood are sitting there eating like something like not good for them. Ronaldo's like, oh, I'm going to the gym. You boys want to come? And Sancho's like, no, mate, no, I've done training. What are you talking about? Training's over. Free time. And that's the mentality levels in it. You know what I mean? That's what pissed Ronaldo off. That stuff. Yeah. That and having Harry Maguire as his captain. So
because that's a thing as well. Like, Ronaldo's offering to do some extra training with you. Come and join.
Come and join Ronaldo. No, I'm all right, mate.
Like, nah, I'm all right, mate. Training's over.
I'm all right, mate.
That's not Man United.
No.
Yeah.
It's so
enthusiasm.
Yeah, and that's what I come back to about we're scouting these players. Are we doing a proper scouting? Are we deep diving on their personalities?
Yeah.
The way, not just he fits in this team. Is he a Manchester United player? I know it's cliche to say, but does he fit in this team? So
it's 100% true. It's 100% true. Mikel Arteta was many interviews with Mikel Arteta and Edu basically saying, yeah, we identify the player, we look at the personality, then we come and meet them. And if they say anything in those meetings where we're like, do you know what? Thank you very much, but it's not going to work. We will turn around if something's happened in these meetings when we're having conversations with these people and we feel they're not the right fit and they're thinking about other things and it doesn't work with Arsenal. we're like, no, do you know what? Thank you for your time. We're going to move on from this. And you have to do that now. The amount of money that you're investing in these players, you can't just look at it one-dimensionally. Oh, this is how he plays. Sorry, two-dimensionally, this is his stats. Watch him, stats. Yeah, right fit. Gets in here. He's a pain in the arse. He's a dick. Like you can't have that. And that's there. Things like that. I think Jadon Sancho will look back at himself in a few years' time, whether he's still at Man United, whether he's at a lower league club in the Premier League or whatever, and he'd be thinking, do you know what? That weren't the right mentality. He will. Reece Nelson did a very similar thing. He rested on his laurels, realised later on that, do you know what? Just doing training for me ain't enough. Just doing training for me isn't enough for me to be in this team. Just even get in the team, be in the manager's eye. I need to put in extra training now, because maybe if back in the day, if I put in the extra training, I might be in the manager's eye just for training now. But I didn't. I thought I was the top dog of the youngsters. Everyone wanted me. Everyone wanted to play me. Go to Germany, smash it out. Top goal, top assist, and top goal score, top goal contributor up until Christmas. Reece Nelson was in Germany, in Europe. And that's where his head blew up. Yeah. And he thought, yeah, sweet. Comes back after a little bit of an injury. Manager doesn't like him anymore because his attitude's changed. Goes on another loan. Attitude's changed. And that's what players do. That's what it's only when they get older, when they're not getting in any first team, when there's no teams around sniffing about anymore, that's when they're like, you know what, actually, I need to buck up my ideas. And unfortunately, Jadon Sancho looks like he could be one of them.
No, it does, 100%, man. I said this to someone else. The last bit on it, I'm not saying Fergie never had any flops. Veron was a flop, but I swear to God, like his percentage of big names that he signed worked out for us. Since then, I'm putting Bruno Fernandes in the list, and that's it of our big signings that have worked out. Oh, Casemiro last season. So Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes are the only two of our signings over 50 mil that have given us really anything, you know what I mean, as I'm looking at it. So yeah
it's sad times for those players, but eventually they will learn. They will definitely learn.
But I think that, sorry, just quickly, I think the difference is, as well, these days these players don't have to care because they know when they're retired, the money. Back in the day, you had to play for a top club to get that money, you know what I mean? These days, you play for a championship team.
Now, if let's have it real. If Jadon Sancho has a couple of more shit seasons and no one in England just rates him, he can go to Saudi Arabia and play for the next 4 or 5 years and earn more than the money that he would have earned in England at any of the clubs in the world.
Have you seen the Neymar wage packet? Have you seen it? £4 a second he's earning. I'm sure that's what I read. £179 million a year. And if he dropped a pound, he would have made £12 by the time he picked it up.
Not if I dropped it; it'd have been 3.
Yeah, mental. But yeah, mental.
Manchester United have abandoned plans to bring back Mason Greenwood following the backlash from the public. The couple's faced criticism from within and outside. You must be happy about that, Garth. I know it's a situation, it's a bit of a sticky one, but look, anyone that's got any morals really should know that this guy shouldn't be playing for Man United, let alone anyone right now. What's your thoughts?
First of all, I was going to put my initial thoughts out there. I do think he did what he's accused of. I'm going it feels like that. Everything I've seen, everything I've heard, read, it doesn't feel like he's completely innocent to me. Legally, he is. So I'm going to take this from he's completely innocent standpoint. Even if he is completely innocent, is what a lot of Man United fans aren't realising. Man United floated the idea. That's why they did it last week. They floated the idea of him coming back to see the reaction. And it was horrific, the reaction. No one really wants him back. And like I was saying to a couple of people, like, oh, yeah, but he's innocent. Like, Man United, they've got no reason to get rid of him. I'm like, mate, all it takes is one phone call from Adidas. Mate, you can't bring him back. Like, you can't play for this team. One call from TeamViewer, one call from a domestic abuse charity to Adidas, one anything, and Man United's reputation is tarnished. the phrasing is right. It is untenable for him to continue as a Manchester United player. Untenable. It can't happen because you've got women's team. Apparently, I don't know if this is true, so this is conjecture. What I've hearsay. Apparently, women's team players were saying they were going to leave. Staff members were saying they were going to.
They did.
They're going to say. Oh, they did. Fair enough. Then there you go. Then. Staff members were saying they're going to quit. Apparently, even the men's team, there was a divide about whether he should come back or not. You can't have that influence in your team. Take away the emotion of what he did. There's not even think about it, which is a heinous crime. And quickly, no, it's not a mistake. And it doesn't. It's not an excuse that he was 19. He's a grown-ass man. All right, I'm not having this. It's not a silly mistake. It is a heinous act. So let's move on from that. Like you can't have that. You can't have that hanging over your club. Every ground he goes to. Could you imagine the abuse he'd suffer? Like it's probably the wrong word to use there. So, but can you imagine the opposition fans, how they're going to and the home fans? It's the right move from Manchester United. I agree with them entirely. They should have done it months ago, months and months. Well, as soon as the investigation was done, they should have took a week with their investigation and got him out.
Well, there was news a couple of weeks ago that they apparently went to Adidas and asked them if it was okay if he came back, and they gave it the okay. So it wasn't when they said there's initial investigations, got internal investigations going on. They were definitely going to bring him back after additional evidence that the public hasn't seen. All that was teeing up to sort of say that he's coming back in the squad.
Can I just say, Adidas came out and refuted that, though, didn't they? They said that ain't true. That they said that's what I mean. Yeah, Adidas. They came out and said we didn't say that he could. We didn't say anything. Not that he shouldn't be back. Not that he can come back. We didn't say a word. So yeah, it's 100%. They were bringing him back. 100%. They were bringing him back, and the fan outcry was too much. And then 100% sponsors started getting involved. Because listen, mate, I don't care about the fans like that, mate. It's money they care about. And I guarantee one of our big sponsors or one of whoever gives us money was like, no, I can't have my company associated or our company associated with this. We can't have it. And then all of a sudden we're done. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And I think it's the right decision, mate. I really do. I heard what I heard and I saw what I saw. You know what I mean? Someone was saying to me about Mendy. I'm like, it's different, mate. Mendy was accusations from women we've never heard. We've never seen anything. If you've seen the pictures I've seen, if you heard what I heard, I can't think of a reasonable explanation for it. And the Man United statement was disgusting. They shouldn't have put anything about his innocence in it whatsoever, period. But that statement was an absolute fluff piece so that we can sell him, so that other clubs can be like, well, Man United don't think that he's done anything wrong, so yeah, let's take him. It's just because of sponsors and blah, blah, blah. You know, so yeah, disgusting statement from Man United. It's the correct decision, and I shouldn't say anymore because I'm going to start getting into personal feelings about it, bruv. You know what I mean? So, and personal feelings about people on Twitter. So, yeah, correct decision. Correct decision. Do you think it's a correct decision from the outside looking in?
Yeah, I do think it's a correct decision. I think that Man United haven't really made themselves look great.
They haven't covered themselves in glory at all, mate.
They haven't covered themselves in glory. Although I think the fact that he's not played since it happened and he's not at the club anymore, I think this won't linger over him for long at all. No. Because at the end of the day, however we want to say, and they try to put it out there to see the reaction, whatever, that will be forgotten, and the right has come in the end. Yeah. What happens with him going forward in his football career? I don't know. Is it a case of a player ends his career with this? Again, I think anything I say from now on gets into more personal than legal or whatnot. But there'll be plenty. He
will play for another team. He will, not in the Premier League.
No, maybe in Saudi Arabia when the human rights laws are slightly.
That's what everyone's saying. He's off to Saudi, mate. Yeah, he's off to Al Hilal or whatever it is. Al Hibabit, whichever one it is.
He'll make his money. He'll have a career.
100%.
So it is. But again, anything more I say on this, it's just going to be my personal opinion on those personal people.
Yeah.
People knows personally. And that's not what this forum's for. You can find that in my WhatsApp messages.
yeah. Come over to Twitter.
What I think of these kind of people. There's a place for them. Should have been sold. He should have been sold. He couldn't be sold. He couldn't be sold. How are you going to sell him? What's your selling point?
No, we're selling him now, bruv. We haven't released him. Yeah.
I thought you were releasing him.
No, let me quickly rephrase that. The statement that Man United have released is very ambiguous about what we're doing with him. Mason Greenwood is going to leave Manchester United, and we will help him do that. So it's clear that we're not. What we're doing is we're going to look to sell him. If we can't, then we'll get rid of him. It's the Glazers, mate. They're not. He's a 100 mil asset. They're not dropping him like that. Not anymore. They're going to be looking for 30, 40 mil from a Saudi Arabian club for him. 100%, bro. So yeah. I could be wrong there. Maybe they will just drop him, but the statement doesn't actually 100% confirm that we've released him as of this moment of his contract, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So I think we're looking for some money for him.
And quickly on some of the transfers that we've seen over the past week. Moses Caicedo, Lavia to Chelsea, and the tug of war between them and Liverpool. It was a mad 24, 48 hours, wasn't it?
Bro, that tug of war was one sumo wrestler against 20 skinny dudes, and the sumo wrestler won, mate, because Liverpool, mate, ended up buying some Japanese geezer I've never heard of, like Endo, it was Endo, bro. What's going on here?
No, I have no clue. Never heard of him. Could be decent, but
of course he could.
He's worrying for Liverpool, and more so, I'd say for Jurgen Klopp. Like, how long could he put up with this sort of
lack of funds?
From the owners, especially when there's clubs like Real Madrid who could quite easily get rid of Ancelotti at any time and flash the cash to someone like Jurgen Klopp. And if he goes to Real Madrid, he would dominate in Spain. Dominate
100%. I as much as I hate Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp is one of the best managers around. I won't have slander against him. It's just he's come up against Pep Guardiola and Man City, just like Sir Alex Ferguson come up against Pep Guardiola and Barcelona. Otherwise, he would have won 4 Champions Leagues. Sorry. So Moises Caicedo, that one, mate, 115 mil for a DM. Yeah. Like, what is the world coming to? Like, crazy. 105 for Rice. I think Rice is the better player as well, for me personally, than Moises Caicedo.
He's the better player. Moises Caicedo's had 1 year in the Premier League. Rice has had 6?
Yeah. So, and then just going to drop another 55 on Lavia just because, like, their books.
Just because Liverpool wanted him.
Mate, their books, bruv, you add a bit of salt to it, they must be delicious because they are cooked, mate. They are cooked, those books. There's no two ways about it, bruv. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit more seasoning, I don't know, but yeah.
It is. It's dodgy. Say it's dodgy, but apparently Chelsea, from now on, in every window, they have to raise about 100 million. Like,
that is it.
Right, they can't buy a pint of milk without having to get it cleared by the taxman and the accountants, because they're not in a good place. They are really not in a good place. All this spend, and they're hoping that they'll be able to sell those players on at big fees. They do. Chelsea are good at getting money for players, but the amount they're going to have to try and get back to pay off these, because it's an 8-year contract, but when you've got 7 players on an 8-year contract, it all adds up. You've now got to make those £20 million or those £8 million back each per year on those players. So you need to make back a minimum of your 80-90 million pounds per year to break even.
Break even. Yeah, not just that though. People keep forgetting. It always comes down to his wages. This, mate, you've got agents' fees involved with that. You've got bonuses. You've got if they've got a yearly 10% rise, etc., etc. It ain't just the 300 or 200 grand they're on. It's madness, bro. But yeah, listen, fair play to them. Do what they want to do. At one point, they're going to have a serious problem with the amount of players they've got on these long-term contracts, and they can't get rid of them.
A massive problem. They are going to have a massive problem because, look, let's say 1 gets a long-term injury, 2 don't turn out as good as what they did hope for. 1 does, 2 do. Like, how often do any player that you bring in, especially on big money, end up being as good as what you thought they'd be? It doesn't happen often. And they've got a squad full of them.
Yeah, just look at some of the players. That Mudryk don't look like he's what he's meant to be at all. You know, and what did they spend on him? 80 mil?
80
Like-
mil. 80 mil. Enzo Fernandez looks decent. Looks like a very good
Enzo's
player.
good. Yeah, definitely.
Caicedo, we know, is a good player. He's not played in 60 days. Barely kicked a football. He's been sulking in his bedroom. So he needs to get up to scratch. But they've still got players in their team. Disassi. I mean, he's an all right defender. He's not a world beater. They've still got players in their team that aren't the end finished article. So yeah, they've got a long way to go with this Chelsea team, and they've got. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate through this financial fair play.
Well, unless they just sell them all to Saudi Arabia like they've been doing. Todd Bowley has definitely got a link there, mate. You know, I mean, he has got
100%. It's dodgy as you like. All right, that is all we have time for. Thank you for joining us tonight, Garth.
Pleasure as always, mate.
Thank you for joining us tonight, Travis, Russ, Ake, and anyone else who has been watching in the comment section as well. If you are new to the show, make sure you press that subscribe button. I'm going to be cracking on the Arsenal game as we speak. I better put it on mute before YouTube end up locking me off and copyrighting this for 3 seconds of Sky Sports noise in the background. But make sure you join us straight after the game for the post-match reaction as well and the player rating show. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands. Oh, wrong one.
Oh,